Good afternoon, folks. Special guest settings. We've got Uncle Lee in the building. We say, my guy, you're right.
I'm all good, thank you very much. You got a bit of a throat, but hopefully it'll be all right. Hopefully it'll hold up, But yeah, all good. You good?
I'm good, man, and I'm in the right company because I don't know if you can hear it, but I think I've got the same thing, man. It's like everybody's getting ill. I don't know what it is, Unks, man, but we're there. The show has to continue. I don't want to take the smile off your face, man, but a big reason as to why I wanted to get you on the platform because I like the way you look at things. Obviously, it's been 3 games for Arsenal this season, but 3 games in. Talk to me, Unks. What have you made of us?
That's a good question. Underwhelming, I think, is the first thing. I think, if I'll be really honest, obviously, like we had a fantastic summer with the window. I think it's been a very, very good 8 signings. You can't moan at that. Let's get that out there. You cannot moan at that. And we've filled in all the areas that we've had little doubts about, But if I got the one criticism I got about the transfer window is that we didn't get certain players in a little bit earlier, i.e. Gyökeres. If Gyökeres would have come 2 or 3 weeks earlier, paid the extra little bit of money, I think that the team could get used to the way he's playing and he could be a little bit fitter as well, So I feel that would be the only criticism that I've got of it. A lot of attacking players now, and I felt that our 2 away performances have been poor. In different aspects. I felt like we didn't play really well against Man United, but got the job done. So you take that. Against Liverpool, I'm still feel that with the players that we've got on, how can I say? The players that we've got in the squad now, I think that we could be a little bit more adventurous than what we was. And I mean that by we've got a very, very good defence, so trust it. I think when you've got the best defence in the league, and we have got the best defence in the league. We can argue about individually, but as a unit, I think that we are the best with a very, very good goalkeeper. Do you need to protect that with 3 midfield players? I don't think you do. I think you can still be very cautious, still be have a defensive structure, but show a little bit more imagination and have a little bit more. I wouldn't say risks, but like a bit more potency in when you're going forward. I felt that it was all about just controlling the game, keeping the ball. And I think that doesn't set us up very well for the rest of the season. I see a lot of that on tour when we was in tour, like possession-based. And listen, I'm not having a go at possession-based football. I think there's definitely a place for it. But I think it's when you're 2-0 up, you know what I mean? Then you can play possession-based football, keep the ball. There is that thing that when you play, right, we're 2-0 up now, don't give the ball away, playing. So I get all of that. But when you're 0-0, and listen, people will say about Anfield, you can't go to Anfield and be this and be that. I get that. I understand all that. But I think that when you're a challenger, I think you have to do something a little bit special, more so than the other team. But what I will say about it is the one thing I will say. As a player, I've been in dressing rooms and whatever, seen team sheets come out. When that team sheet come out and they put Marino in there, I think the Liverpool players would have said, "Do you know what? They're worried about us this season. They're not." I think if we'd have gone up there and we'd have played Wanyeri in there and it was on it might have just put a little bit of doubt in their minds. But I think do you feel look, when I see that team sheet, I was disappointed. That was before, regardless of the result. I got witnesses to say that I was angry about it. I felt it showed a weakness in us. It showed a weakness in the manager and all that. I think we should be a little bit more belief in what we're going to do this season. Do we believe we're going to win the league? I felt that team sheet, we're not so sure. I know that sounds silly, but that's how I see it. And listen, if we get the draw out of it, we'd all turn around and go, "Yeah, that's great. It's a great point." I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but there's a stage in that game where you can look at it and go, "We've got a chance of winning this game here, but we've also got a very, very good chance of losing it. What do you want to do?" And Mikel's thought was, let's not lose this game. But I'd rather be at the case of let's try and win it. And if we do lose it, at least we're in the same position as we are now, So, listen, I think that defensively we're very, very good. I think that the next couple of weeks I think that once the players are up and running, we'll see what happens and all that, But I was confident going in this season that perhaps we'd win the league. I'm not so much now. What I've seen over the 3 games, and forget about the Leeds game. That's what you want to see from home games, but those 2 away games. But I do think we've got a better chance if we set up like that to do much better in the Champions League. So we'll have to wait and see. But I don't think that if you play that way, you're going to get enough points to get over Liverpool. That's my opinion.
I mean, what you're saying there, yeah, like it's something a lot of us Arsenal fans have shared in that, okay, cool, losing at Anfield, a wonder goal, all that stuff, it's not bad. Me personally, I did want to see Arteta put the handbrake down and take a bit of a risk. Now, it might have shot us in the foot at Anfield, but at least I could say, you know what, in moments like this, Arteta's done something differently. It might not have worked for us at Anfield, but it might work for us 3-4 times in the season, which we don't lose that many games, but it's those fine margins that go against us. I do have to ask you, Unks, like, what do you make of his game management? Because give or take, when I cast my mind back to the Liverpool game, Saliba got injured. I started getting a bit nervous. I wouldn't say Liverpool looked like they were harming us, but literally the initial period, they had the bunch of the ball. Then we took the sting out of the game. We had the majority of possession. It looked like we was boxing cleverly. I personally think it went left at halftime. I don't know what Arne Slot said to his team. I don't know what Arteta said, but it felt like he got Szoboszlai further up the field. He obviously made subs. That's where I'm looking at Mikel Arteta, because he kind of dies on his sword. Like whatever he's planned midweek or before the game, that's it. He's setting on it. And, you know, even jumping ahead, looking at Max Dowman coming on. We all love Max Dowman, but the fact that he came on 10 minutes before the end of the game, that's something I've seen a bit too familiar with Arteta. It's like when he's kind of conceded it's gone against him, he just gets people get a run out. And you touched on it there. You know, Wanjeri maybe could have come on or started. I don't know why EZE didn't necessarily play. What do you make of Mikel Arteta's in-game management? Because the second half for me is where I wanted him to change things. Like, granted, you know, that free kick, it happens. That's why we all love football. I can't factor that in, but it felt like we was losing a bit of control. And like even the period Zubimendi gave away the free kicks. It's like, what do you make of Mikel Arteta's game management so far?
There was that period what you're talking about, that game. That's when I say it, like, you know, did he go to win the game or draw it? There was that was the opportunity. The opportunity is you're talking on the line. You go, right, are we going to make substitutions that are going to win us this game, or are we going to make substitutions that are going to make sure we don't lose this game? I felt they made substitutions to make sure that we didn't lose the game. Now people will go. And people have quite rightly come out and said, he put on EZE and Odegaard. They're more attacking than the players that he took off, right? Not necessarily so, because what he done was he actually put Odegaard in there. And what did Odegaard do? He just kept the ball, kept playing safe. He never went on there to be adventurous and to do create things. Now, when you create things, it's like anything in life. To create something, you have to create havoc. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When you create something, if you're going to ball, like that pass and all that, there's a chance it's going to get cut out. There's a chance it's going to not get to its. You know, you might play 3 of those killer balls and only one of them's going to go in there. So the 2 that you do, give back possession to the other side. I felt that when Odegaard come on, it was with instructions: just keep the ball. Don't do nothing silly. Just keep the ball. So he wasn't on there. And if you have a look back at his game, he done everything safe. Just kept the ball, chased down, which you expect him to do anyway, and do the press. And if don't make any like what's the word I'm looking for? Don't take any gambles. If the pass is on, you're guaranteed to pass it in there, do it. But if it's you're doubting your mind, come back. And that was the same with Calafiori all game, who was outstanding, by the way. But I'm talking from when we had the ball. Now, what was happening was we was just wanting to keep the ball. EZE give us a little bit different to what Martinelli was. But if you look at it, really, Martinelli's he's an attacking player as well. He's a wide left player. So it was like for like. It wasn't being...
You're not really changing the framework, really, when you break it down.
It wasn't being too adventurous. It was still very, very cautious. And what I'd like to have seen from him there was to go out and just go, right, Martin, just you try and create mayhem. You try and create. EZE, you try and create and get it in. And we never had that that sort of play. And when you look at it now, we've had 2 games with a proper centre forward, and he's had about 4 touches. Now, in the game against Man United, when Havertz come on, he had more touches and all that. So I still believe that when we play the likes of Manchester City away, Tottenham away, Havertz will probably be the better player to have in there than Gyökeres, because he's going to keep possession and all that. And maybe that's what the plan is. When you're playing the Leeds and the teams like that, Nottingham Forest, you know what I mean, Gyökeres is your man who's going to score those goals and get you there. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting what he's going. All I know is that from my point of view now, I had a lovely weekend. The next 2 Saturdays and Sundays are going to be very, very nervous, because we're at home against Nottingham Forest and Man City. By no means guaranteed 6 points, but Arsenal have got to get 6 points. And that, what does that do? It puts a bit of pressure on you, you know. And it'd be interesting if we've talked about this yesterday, like, you know, if there's 20 minutes to go against Nottingham Forest and it's 0-0 still, what will Arteta do? We'll go for it. You know what I mean? Because we're at home. He might win the game, he might not. But I think there's more of a risk when you're at home to drop points than when you're away. You know what I mean? So he could have gone for that at that same stage against Liverpool. Lost the game, which we did anyway. And we might have won it and might have picked up 3 points. I come home from the Anfield game. Well, I don't know if we're a good side or not. I didn't really see anything that done that. I didn't see it at Man United. And that, you know, Man United, first game of the season, want to get off to a good start. I get that. We had the most difficult game out of the whole, you know, teams that are going to be challenging for the title. So I see that as I understand that. I understand it. But, and also you've got the result. But when you play for a draw or play not to lose, which is what he did, I don't believe that he didn't play to draw the game. I think there's a tactic that you nick that game, you know what I mean? But the most important tactic was we're not going to lose. But he did lose. Yeah. So there's a problem. And the one thing I think that people are not going to like, and I don't like saying it neither, if I'll be really honest about it, you know, he's got all the players now, and if you can't get over the line, it's not the players. What is the thing that maybe it's the manager that's not quite
the buck has to stop at him then? Yeah,
and I think the buck would have to stop at him. Yeah, you're not quite, and that doesn't mean to say that you're a bad manager. And I hear people say, okay, listen, you get players that get you to the Champions League. You get players that get you Europa League, but then there's the players that get you over the line. And Mikel's been quite ruthless in his way of saying, well, like Ramsdale got us to the Champions League, but he's not going to take us that one step further. So-and-so's not going to do that. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. Shinchenko's not been able to do that. Shinchenko, very, very good player to get you to the top 4 Champions League, but he's not going to get you over the line. So you've got to be ruthless. So can you be ruthless with the manager? Not at this moment in time, but I do look at those 2 games, and I do think that, listen, you know, I mean, it's no disgrace to lose at Anfield. Don't get me wrong and all that, like, you know, but other teams have gone there and won in the past. And, you know, when these teams come to the Emirates, I remember when Liverpool were chasing the title with Manchester City, they won. You know what I mean? Like, Manchester City come here and won. So we've somewhere along the line, you've got to get one of those results over the line somewhere. Now, don't people go on about Manchester City last season we drew? That's completely different. You're 10 men, you're 2-1 up. Yes, defend for your lives, because I get that. But that was a little bit of a different game. And also when I felt, I don't know how you feel about this, but I've watched 2 Liverpool games and I thought, do you know what? You can get at them. We can get at them here. We've got the firepower. We've got the players to do it. Go for it. Now, one point that would be brought up there, oh, well, we didn't have Saka and we didn't have, you know, so-and-so. I get that, you know what I mean? Like, Saka's a magnificent player. But you brought in players to navigate that without Saka.
2 great attackers. Yeah. And we're not creating for one, and we had one on the bench, which fair enough, first game, all of that. Me personally, I would have started EZE, but You've got the tools now. It's down to you, Gaffer.
Yes, exactly that. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that could have been the case scenario. Like, you know, that, you know, could he have been a little bit more adventurous on it? That's the only criticism I've got of it. You know what I mean? These next two games now will tell us all we know, all we need to know about Mikel, like, because, you know, drop more points, and particularly at home. Then on the back of those two games, you've got Newcastle away. You know what I mean? These two games, like, you know,
nasty run of
I'm
fixtures.
not going to enjoy them. These next two games, it's all about winning two games of football. And one of them's against Manchester City, which if you was to beat Manchester City, they're going to be 9 points behind Liverpool, because Liverpool win their next two games, which is Everton, I think, and I can't remember that one. But you got to surmise that they're going to win those games. So if we actually beat Manchester City, City would be 9 points behind them at an early stage. That's too much. And if City beat us, we're both 6 points behind them. So, you know, pressure's on, and even at an early stage. And I know that's silly when you say that, like, you know, and people go, "Oh, you can," but listen, you don't want to be chasing. I'd rather be like out in front, like
they be in the mix, man.
Got to be in there. Got to be in there, and like, and it's not going to be easy this time. You know what I mean? Like, Liverpool have got firepower now. The thing with Liverpool last season, I felt that, you know, and probably cost them the Champions League, they missed chances. I don't think they're going to miss the chances that they missed last season. Do you remember, like, Nunes missed one chance with a complete open goal, and they ended up drawing a game? That ain't going to happen next season.
Definitely not when you got EZE now.
You got EZE and like, you know, they've got a very, very good front 4 or 5. So have we. But at the end of the day, I always think do you know when Liverpool played Bournemouth? It went 2-2. I was in the pub watching it with a few of my old football mates. Like, I said, Liverpool still win this game. All right, and they nick a goal. I don't say that with that much confidence about Arsenal. That might be because I'm all invested in Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying? But
I don't think you're wrong, though.
I don't see it with Arsenal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you said to me now, we draw our next two games against Forest and City, I wouldn't be like going, "Oh, you're mad" and all that, because it could happen. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. This is where it is massively important now for Arsenal to win these next two games. And listen, we can forget about that. And it's not just the two games. You've got the Champions League game in between that as well in Spain. So we got like 2 home games and an away game in there. These 3 games are very, very important. Now, I contradict myself a little bit here. I don't mind us playing that way in Spain in the Champions League, because it's not about winning that league. It's about qualifying. Do you see what I'm saying? It's about getting through. So,
facts.
There's a difference between that, you know. So people go, "Oh, well, you know, if we draw 0-0 at Liverpool," and people that go, "Oh, well, you saying that about Anfield?" It's a different
kettle of fish, man. No 2 games are the same.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I think in the league, I think we've got to be a little bit more positive in the and that's why I think the Champions League might suit us a little bit more, because the likes of myself, you know, if we go, even when you get into the knockout stages, you go and get a 0-0 draw away from home, you take it. You know what I mean? You go, and get them back at home. So it's a little bit different. I just felt that the game against Liverpool, even when you look back at the Man United game, come on, they're poor at this moment.
I'd even say Leeds, even though we scored 5 goals. I'd be so honest. I think the creative issues are still there, and this is something I was passionate about. Obviously, I'm excited that we got EZE. I'm intrigued with what Madueke could do, and he done well, in my opinion, against Liverpool. Gyökeres is the big one that we all wanted. We all wanted a striker, but signing players is half the job. It's a bit of a contradiction, but I like the whole defensive ethos. I like the players we recruit. I'm kind of confident with who we put in our defense. Shout out to Mascara in the final third, because we're not necessarily a great attacking side. I've never just thought it's just a case of signings, and even to the point where I look look at our collective bunch of players, people like Martinelli, obviously a lot of fans have had, they're at their wits' end with him. But I think if these guys went to other clubs, you would see them in a different light. I'm yet to see us create consistent chances for Gyökeres. Like even the Leeds game, as much as I'm happy that he's made that goal himself, I can't expect anyone to do that for 38 games. Like I'm not seeing enough clear-cut chances. And to be fair, Gyökeres isn't fit. I personally think he's adapted. I think it's a case of Arteta needs to adapt to him. That's actually why I was happy, Unks, with us getting Eze and Gyökeres, because on paper, they didn't strike me as Mikel Arteta Arsenal players. So naturally, if you've got different players, that might kind of force you to change. I want to ask you as well, like, obviously the players are there, whether it's Max Dowman, Wanyeri, Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, Gyökeres, even Zubamendi and Rice kind of in this new role. Why isn't Mikel Arteta like playing more attacking football? Why is there a handbrake? Because I think in the Liverpool game, he reverted to type. He could have went with Wanyeri, he could have went with Eze, and it might not have worked. And as much as I didn't want to see Marino start, it didn't shock me that Marino's the one he went for it. It's a kind of a bit predictable. And I got kind of going back to what we said about in-game. I'd started to wonder, with Slot changing what he changed for Liverpool's sake, how much more confidence did he potentially have in that? I've made my changes. I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to do anything that isn't dissimilar. Like, why isn't Arteta putting down the handbrake and kind of doubling down on that? Because as you said earlier, you got Rice, you've got great defensive ethos, you've got great defenders that you can leave them exposed. And granted, they might, that might cost us, but I think we can gamble a bit. I think we've got the boys to do that.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you on this, and I can't understand it. 2 years ago, we played this flamboyant football, and I'll be really honest, probably like we would have won the league. We beat Fulham and it was outstanding that day, but we lost Saliba that day. And we also lost, I think it was Tomiyasu that day as well, both out. And we never recovered from that. I think if one of them would have stayed fit, I think it was 8 points clear. I think we'd have had enough to get there. I look at that now and I think, well, hold on a minute, like, why don't we go back to playing that? And if you lose Saliba for a few weeks, you've got, Mosquera coming in who looks outstanding. You've got lots of backup in certain areas. And I think that you've got that squad depth now to be able to cope with that. The season after, look, listen, we went toe-to-toe with a fantastic Manchester City side that won the treble.
To the
last day. I don't think you can really put too much on it there. Just, if I'll be really honest, not taking our chances against Villa. Well, you've replaced that with Gyökeres now. Like, and you look back at those two games.
Yeah,
that Aston Villa game was in the middle of Bayern Munich's quarterfinal, and I feel that Mikel, nothing against him here, it was just a little bit of experience. Didn't know how to navigate those three games. If you remember rightly, he took Kai Havertz out and put in Trossard. It was the only time we lost. I understand. So, right, and he didn't make the same mistakes the following season. Didn't have the players. So he's got all the players there now. So why don't you revert back to that? Forget about this possession-based football. I don't know where that's come from. I don't know why we've brought it in. Maybe we brought it in because we didn't have the striking options that we had to our disposal at the beginning of the season, so we had at the back end. I don't know. But if I'm sitting and I'm one of his coaches and I'm, talking to him, I say, look, let's go back to it was like we was 2 years ago. We've got the squad now. Let's, there'll be a 4-2 and a 3-2 somewhere down the line. But ultimately, we'll win these games. I see us far too cautious last season with this midfield sort of at Bournemouth. I don't know if you remember the game. We lost
and Newcastle away that same. Well, obviously,
we had the same three midfield players. All right, Partey played, but Partey's a defensive midfielder. Zubamendi and Rice playing defensive, like Marino, who there's a shout for him to be playing up front more, a little bit more forward.
The hat trick against for Spain yesterday.
Fantastic hat trick as well. I see it, and I thought, wow, he can finish. So listen, by putting Marino in there, there was a game plan to win the game, but it was more like of not losing the game, So I would just say, look, you've got all these. I look back at the game. You've got Eze, you've got Wanyeri, you've got Odegaard, you had Max Dowman. You had Trossard. There's 5 players I've mentioned there that were all on the bench at Anfield. You know, I remember last season at PSG, we was losing 1-0 and then 2, you know, obviously like we lost it in the end. But he's looking down on his bench. He's got 4 kids on there.
There you got kids.
That have never kicked a ball for Arsenal. He looks on his bench at Anfield. He's got 5 options of attacking players. He's got the options
even
now.
Trossard.
He's certainly got a lot more to do. Now, there could be a problem. And you might think I'm silly when I say this, that he's got too many.
I'm so happy you said that, Lee, because that's something I've been asking people. Has he gone from having, you know, where the 11's picked itself, there's probably been 1 or 2 players off the bench realistically that will come off it, to now you've got a bunch of options, not just in terms of who's on the bench, who's starting, but, you know, you could go with EZE in the 10, maybe drop a Rice or Marino, get Odegaard in there. So I'm happy you said that, because I do think Arteta has to go to war with himself. I think he has to reinvent himself. I know people call us boring and predictable, but that's got us to this point, being a great defensive side. We just need that air of unpredictability, whether that's changing things in tactics, whether that's throwing a player on paper that a manager won't expect. I think Arteta has to be at war with himself now, because I think the players are there. I think the players were kind of there last season. As you said earlier, we've got 8 players. I think we've got 3 game changers in that 8. In that, I think Zubimendi's quite good. I think Gyökeres is obviously the star. And I think EZE, and I think we all forget, EZE actually cost the most money. That leads me to ask you, like, how do you get EZE in this team? Because there are some fans who say he's a left winger, he's not a left winger. We don't care if he's a left winger, he could do more than Martinelli. Like, how do you get EZE in this team? Because Odegaard's going to play. Dare I say, if Kai's fit, he might be an option as well ahead of EZE. I don't know, Unks.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that, you know, like, that this at the moment, it's a little bit easier for him to say, like, oh, he's not quite ready yet and getting into the Arsenal way. So you can say that. And it's also easy to say that to the player as well, like, you know what I mean? And a player will accept that, like, you know, I've just come to the team, I've got to be a little bit patient and all that, like. And this is where the manager has got to earn his corner. And this is where I think Arteta probably, over the last few years, has enjoyed having a smaller squad, because there's not so many problems. And I don't mean that in a bad, you know, you haven't got to have confrontation with players, because you can keep them mostly happy and all that, like. But when you become a winner that's going to go on to win multiple trophies, or being that, you've got to have a big squad, so you've got to adapt. Now, at the end of it, when I say, like, you know, it is a problem, but it's not a problem. You've got to be able to do that, like, you know, and there is a difficulty to keep all those players happy. And as you say, like, if you're gonna bring in EZE, right, to this team now, you're gonna make someone unhappy, whoever it may be. It might be Martin Odegaard, it might be Martinelli. For me, if you look at it at this moment in time, the easier option is Martinelli to leave out than your captain. But for me, I'm a big Martin Odegaard fan. I think he's a fantastic footballer, but he's not been doing the business for the last year. So I'm looking at them and thinking, well, hold on a minute. All right, forget about EZE at the moment. You know, Wanyeri, you know, comes in and does an outstanding game and all that. It's also a little bit easier to leave Wanyeri out of this side at the moment, because he's 18 years of age and a teenager, like, you know what I mean? But there's going to be a stage where you're going to get Wanyeri wanting to be playing that much and everything like that. So it's very, very difficult on that, like, you know. So for me, I think that this is the key for the manager now, that he's got to say, right, how can you say it for a manager, like, you know, if you win, say Arsenal win 5 games on the spin, right, just say that, and no one gets injured, very, very easy, just keeping the same team. You know, no one can argue. You know, I mean, if you're centre forward or right winger, Saka's banging in goals and playing on, I understand it. You know, it's easy. Oh, we've got Port Vale coming up. I can bring in a few players and all that, blah blah blah. It's when things are not quite right. You've got a couple of injuries. You've got, you know, you haven't got Saka playing. You haven't got Kai Havertz playing or available. This is when you earn your money as a manager, because we can all earn a manager when players are in that position. Do you see what I'm saying? So for me now, I'm looking very much at that team sheet against Nottingham Forest to see how good you actually are, Mikel. What are you going to do? Are you going to be bold? Are you going to get EZE in this team? Are you going to get Wanyeri in this team? Are you going to get Saka in this team and go from whatever, like? And someone's got to be sacrificed somewhere along the line. You can't get.
Someone's going to be unhappy. It is what it is.
And so you've got to do it, and you've then got, listen, we got injuries at the moment, but if we didn't have injuries, I don't think it's a bad thing. You turn around to, I don't know, Madueke, or you can say to Madueke, whatever his name is. I'll call him Nonny. Right, you can put in you can say to him well, you're not playing against Nottingham Forest, but you're playing in Bilbao. Oh, all right, yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'll shut my mouth. I'm playing Champions League.
I'm playing Champions League, and someone else will be left out for, you're playing Champions League on the Tuesday, but you won't be playing against Man City on the Sunday. But you'll be back in the next game. So you can. That's what we've got now. We haven't got
that luxury.
A settled 11. We've got a rotation of players, which is what you need. But it's then with that is when to rotate and when not to, and when to do it and everything like that. So it's really, really important how he manages the team from now on. And listen, if Arsenal fail this season, it's not going to be for me, the players. Not going to be the players. Or the squad's not strong enough. There's only one beacon that you'll be looking at, and that is Mikel Arteta. And yeah, there is pressure on him, but do I think that he can do it? I do think that he can. I think that he can, because he's got us this so far. I think that he can. You know what I mean? But he's got to be a lot braver. People say, well, he was very brave at Real Madrid. We won 2-1 there. We were on the back of, we was 3-0 up. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And the squad picked itself. Let's not forget, while they did great, there were several injuries. Like, there wasn't anything else you could do, type of thing.
100%. He went with what he's got, and his players that day done the business for him.
They stood up tall.
So I do think it's all on the manager this time around. And as an Arsenal fan, you just got to hope that he is good enough. And if he isn't good enough and we don't win it, you just have to say, well, it ain't the end of the world, Mikel, for him. But, you can't keep coming second. You can't keep coming. Somewhere along the line, you've got to break down that door. You've got to bash it.
Got to get over the line, man.
You've got to get over the line.
In the last 3 years,
you've got to get over the line. And I think that he will. I don't think it's going to be the league though, unless there's a change of mentality.
Ooh. So then, what are you referring to then? If it's not the league, what is it? I hope it's the champs you're referring to.
Yeah, listen, I'd love to win the league. You know, I mean, if you ask me, we've never won the Champions League, right? But if you said to me, what do you want to win, Premier League or Champions League? Premier League for me, I always want to win the league. You know what I mean? Because it proves you're the best. And I still say the cup competition is a cup competition, and you have to have a little bit of luck in that. Like, we didn't get the luck in the semi-final. We could have easily. It wasn't a lot. A difference between us and PSG, a little bit of luck and a little bit of quality. We didn't have our quality. Losing Partey was his own fault, but it cost us. So I still think that we got a chance maybe to do that, So listen, if Arsenal win the FA Cup and miss out by a couple of points on the league, is that enough to save him his job? I think so.
Do you think that? Though, I don't think that's wrong.
I think it's going to be. I think there's got to be context with everything. Like win the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and come close in the and take the title to near the end. Not a problem. But I think we've got to get something over the line with these players. I look at players like Declan Rice. I look at players like Saka, Saliba as well. Gabriel, put him in there as well. That their ability and their stature in the footballing world, they have to be winning trophies as well. So there's going to be a stage when is it going to be Mikel or them?
I think we're getting to that, Lee. I'll be absolutely honest. Like, I know when, depending on what Arsenal fan you speak to, and we make content, so I'm sure you're asked to, every week, Mikel Arteta in or out. For me personally, I think he's a good manager. I think he's one of the best in the league. I don't think he's the best in Europe, but I think he's up there. I think he's a good manager. You just need to be a winning manager. When I say bravery, I criticize. I think he lacks bravery in the final third. I think in a number of decisions he's made on and off the field, he's shown that. But if I think you've been here for 6 years, this is now the 4th year you're fighting for a title. We've got great players. You've got a great system. You know, there's a lot of good things around you. And as you said, you know, we flirted with a final against PSG. We beat Real Madrid. We've been sniffing at the Premier League, finishing second. I don't think that it's too unrealistic to just ask a question, why have we not got over the line? And every year we don't, which God forbid that is the case this year. That has to be something. We've had different players. I know everybody's not, you know, convinced by our owners at this club in the Cronkies, but they've provided you with the finances to get 8 players in. Berta's come in. We've got good existing players. You've brought in other players. It's just down to you to mesh it all together. And I'm not saying this to say Arsenal are the best in Europe, but it just feels like before I look at how good Liverpool are, or how good PSG are, or this one or that one, or City in previous years, I look at us. I always say, have we done everything? Have we tactically reached our potential? Have we kept everyone fit? All these kind of things. And I think we shoot ourselves in the foot, which for me is the most negative and the most positive. But then I have to ask you, yeah, because it's 3 games in, and I think every Arsenal fan wanted a bit of bravery against Liverpool. It is only 3 games in. Are we panicking a bit too soon without letting the season play out?
No, I don't think no one's panicking, are they? I think this is what makes me very, very weird about our fan base and all that. Like, you know, you can only, you know, you're only going to go on one, like, two. I don't think no one lost their heads when we beat Man United. You know what I mean? We just sort of said, oh, you've got to brush that to the side. And listen, you know, win your next few games. And that's how it is now. Like, you know, I'm over it now, like, you know, and, but you are allowed to criticise. You are allowed to criticise a performance as a paying customer, right? If your steak's not good enough, right, you are entitled to go up to the restaurant owner and go, do you know what, my steak, you know, I just paid a certain amount of money for that. It weren't quite good enough, right? So you can say that about performance, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't stop me going to the next game. Like, you know, if you're in a restaurant, you know, you can go, well, I'll go to the steakhouse down the road or where. At Arsenal, it ain't about that. Whatever happens, as poor as it was on the Sunday, I'm still going next Saturday. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
we love the club.
Yeah, but you are allowed to say, do you know what? That ain't good enough. I'm not happy with that. Like, you know, and that is your entitlement as a fan. You know what I mean? You can, you know, when people say, oh, well, support, you can support your team as how you like. Do you know what? Because it's you as an individual. You all come together as a fan base, but we all support Arsenal differently. And, you know, some people like to moan about it. Some like to cheer about it. Some like to be positive. Some like to see don't like to see the worst in Arsenal. Some do. And listen, I was very annoyed on Sunday. I'm over it now. You know what I mean? It's on to the next game.
Got no choice but to move on.
Of course. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go into the stadium on Saturday morning and go, oh, they didn't really perform at Newcastle, at Anfield. So when they come out, I'm not going to cheer them. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be
sad if that's how you looked at it.
Yeah, I'm going to be behind them and go for it. Like, but all I'm saying is, if you want to criticise the manager, the team performance and all that, that is your prerogative to do that because you spend the money. Now, people will go, if you're sitting there watching it on TV, you're still spending money. You're still spending your Sky Sports subscription. And I don't care what anybody says. My dad didn't go to Arsenal games when he got older and all that. Like, he was still as passionate as what I was.
Emotionally invested more than anything.
Of course you are. So, you know, people didn't go to Anfield. There's only 3,000 fans or whatever went to Anfield, like, you know what I mean? So there's loads more fans. More fans didn't go to Anfield than not. And I can guarantee that most of them were all as unhappy as I was. And rightly so, or they're not, you know what I mean? You've got this thing of it's a passion, it's whatever, and what, like, you know, and you can be critical and whatever. It's not the end of the world, guys. You know what I mean? Next game, we might win 5-0. And listen, if we beat Nottingham Forest, I'll say we're the best team in Europe. Like,
happy as Larry, yeah.
Happy as Larry. It doesn't matter. That's how it is, like, you know what I mean? So for me, it's you know, I don't think I'm panicking about whatever I've seen and all that. It's 3 games gone. Listen, a very, very, I can tell you a story, and I always go back to it. Me and my dad coming out of Highbury, drew 1-1 with Portsmouth in 2003. It was around about September time. Spoony old goal from Robert Perez, penalty, dive. I remember the game. You know, man, we play like that, we ain't winning nothing. We ain't winning the league. Can't beat Portsmouth at home. We ain't winning the league. We went unbeaten that season. So one game don't matter. But I walked out of that ground and my dad did moaning about Arsenal. You know what I mean? What? By the way, weren't the only ones. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, you know.
And then everyone was celebrating in May.
Yeah, play like that ain't going to win nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Not good enough. But that's how it is. Like, you know what I mean? So you get emotionally involved in one game and you see that game. And if you want to be in the context of that game there, like, and offer the one game against Liverpool at Anfield, are Arsenal going to win the league? Hell no. But it ain't about just that game. It's about what comes after that. Like, you know what I mean? Liverpool might pick up a bunch of injuries. I'll tell you what, with Liverpool, they've left themselves a little bit short like we did. If anything happens to Van Dijk, the drop-off from Van Dijk is Gomez. It's a little bit like when we lost Saliba.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
holding.
So, listen, in football, you've got to have talent, you've got to have the team, you've got to have a fantastic manager. But do you know what else you need? You need a little bit of luck. I don't care what anybody says, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have the luck at Anfield, like 9 times out. Like, as stupid as I was, when we went to take that free kick, I said, oh, you can hit it from there, no chance. It ends up in the back of it. Made myself look stupid. But 9 times out of 10, they don't go in.
The same thing happened to us positively when Declan Rice scored those 3 free kicks. He went off the cuff.
100%. You know what I mean? That game could have been different. If you look back on that, there's moments in that game when we could have probably lost that game 2-0. So you never know. So I do think you need a little bit of luck. So no, the answer to the question is no. I don't think any Arsenal fans panicking or going over the top. It wasn't what we wanted to see from our team. And you know, you want to lose. If I want to lose games of football, I want to go down guns blazing, right?
Kicking and screaming.
Like we did remember when Neil Miller scored the goal against us in the last minute, like going back years ago at Anfield. I come out of that game as disappointed as I did this game. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. But when you look back on all of it, you think, well, at least we give it a go and we go. You can take a little bit of consolation from the defeat.
You just want to have no regrets, which I think we got plenty.
Yeah, and I think that there was a few regrets. Like, yeah, that's a great point. I come out of Anfield. You know what I mean? We've come out of it when I thought, oh, well, you know, we give it a go. We was unlucky. But this one I felt, well, you know, we didn't really give it a go. So I get all of this, like, you know what I mean? So listen, it is where it is, you know what I mean? Like, Liverpool will lose games. How many they're going to lose, I'm not so sure. So all we've got to worry about is ourselves. Forget about Liverpool at this moment. Forget about any other team and all that. Concentrate on beating Nottingham Forest. Concentrate about getting a result against Bilbao. Concentrate on beating Man City. Then have a look at it from there, and you're going to got to go like up to Port Vale and then to Newcastle. See where you are. That's how I see it after those 6 games. Newcastle's going to be a
nasty game, man.
Yes, a baptism of fire for us. That's going to be tough. Because I think, you know, like the football club will be all together or whatever happens now. They've been, you know, like they took a bit of a battering, beating Arsenal again for the 3rd consecutive season. They'll have that. You know what I mean? Like, but for me, I think that these 2 home games now, just concentrate on them. Don't matter what's happening with Liverpool. Don't matter what's happening with everybody else. Win, and then we see where we are.
And you said it there, Lee. Like in last year, I didn't subscribe to like the whole we needed a bit of luck, because I feel in life you have to make your own luck, and you can only do that by maximizing what you can. This year, I feel like we can maximize make our own luck, because I think we've done all we can, quote unquote, on the transfer front. I think we've got the players. I think the players in a nice way have been a bit bruised from the last couple of years. That's why I want them to win a bit of silverware, because they deserve it. We deserve it. I don't want to really go down that route of mental fatigue and do they need another voice and ultimately everything around the manager. So it'd be interesting to see, man. But again, I think we're entitled to comment as how we see it. I think every balanced Arsenal fan can see what is 3 games into the season, anything can happen. But kind of piggybanking off pre-season and off last season, we still have the same questions about game management, about attacking football, about pivoting, about doing things different. Like we're all happy with the defense. Midfield's a bit of a mixed bag, but it's mainly in the attack. And that leads me to ask you to this, because going back to, some people are saying we're saving ourselves for the second half of the season. Do you feel we're doing that? Like we're kind of taking it as we can now before we get into full strength in the second half of the year? Kind of like this comment on screen.
Look, I get that, but I also think that's a little bit of the Mikel cult following that happened a couple of seasons ago. Was it the season before last when we wasn't great leading up to the Fulham game, and then after Fulham game we just exploded. I look back at that and I think that maybe we had no choice after that Fulham game, but just to go for it, So I get that, but when we've got a massive squad now, do we need to be playing with a handbrake on and being cautious? I think we can be cautious with players by not playing them.
Just be sensible.
Yeah, being a bit more sensible for the squad. Unfortunate at the moment, like 3 games in, and I think that's something that the Mikel's got to look at and all, that you've lost 3 or 4 players with muscle injuries, not so much
annoying.
Like Odegaard when he took the knock, but if you look at Saka and Kai Havertz come back from that long-term injury, I felt a little bit rushed back into it, and both broke down again. Gabriel not so much, because over the summer, if you notice, they just kept him back, so maybe that was
Timber as well.
Timber, Ben White's come back and broke down again, which is a big worry for me. That Ben, played, and all of a sudden he's breaking down a little bit more. So we've got a few injuries in there. Get them. I think the international break is good. Saka. There's reports that he might be back and all that. I don't want to see him against Nottingham Forest. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Take your time, Sacks, man.
So if they say he's going to be back in 3 weeks, and I'm making it 5, no rushing him back. You know what I mean? And I'd actually like to see Saka come back and be playing 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there for a couple of games. You know what I mean? Just to get him back into the. So there's no rush in it. Same with Kai Havertz, you know what I mean? Like same with Ben White.
Probably extend that to Saliba now as well, to be fair.
Saliba's another one. Just forgot about Saliba. You know what I mean? He's going to be out for, is another bit of poor judgment from the team, medical stuff. You know what I mean? How can a player be out for 3 or 4 weeks, but you still think he's all right to play on that day? You know what I mean? Like,
save the players for themselves.
Can someone explain that? He's out for 3 or 4 weeks, but you felt it was all right for him to make, from that diagnosis that you've done. Yeah, that's all right. I think he can carry on playing. And then he doesn't last no more than 2 minutes. And he's out for 3 or 4 weeks. I think that's a horrendous decision, whoever made that decision.
How much do you think the players need? Sorry, go on, because I want to ask you something about the injuries as well. Go on, Lee.
No, I just think you know what I mean? Like something should be, I'd like to see that explained. I'd like the manager to come out and explain that. Why he's out for 3 or 4 weeks, but you felt it was all right to play him in that game. I just like that to be explained.
That's what's jarring with me as well. It's like, it's a weird one, because obviously I don't want any player in any team, much less mine, to be injured. Obviously, to hear Saliba's out for 3-4 weeks, we know what Saka is. People, fair enough, Kai might not be flavour of the month, but we need a squad, and Kai has a use here. So to see those injuries, it does concern me. Equally, though, when you throw in maybe Magalhaes and having to be cute and clever with him, a Timber, a White, it doesn't surprise me, because you lot have all had long-term injuries, to the point where clearly we need a bigger squad for how last season played out. But I wonder if having to be cute and clever with the names I've said there factored into stuff. To be fair to the manager, though, as much as I think, and I'm with you, I think, you need to not risk these players. I do think you've overplayed certain players. But then I look at it, and I look at my own Sunday League experience, where there's been times I might not be 100%. I might be signed off. I know in my heart that I'm not 100%. but I might tell the manager, yeah, I can play and whatnot, which I think Saliba's done. I think Saka's done. Like, do the players need to save themselves? I know they want to play and they're committed to the cause, but it just feels like these lot, rightly so, they rush to get back. They're always ahead of fitness, and then they break down again. So it's like, is there some duty of care that the players have to have on their own as well?
Yeah, I do. I listen. I think it's great that players want to get back and play. We've done that. You know, I mean, I've played with an ankle injury, and it's not quite 100%. But you train and you think, oh, it's a little bit sore. I'll get through this game and build it up and everything like that. But it's also, they've got a different medical staff now. They get being scanned every minutes and all that, like, what I mean? Which, I think Arsenal have actually got a scanning machine in their own stadium, in the stadium now, or somewhere on site, so.
Exactly.
It just shows you that, these things can be done. And listen, at the end of the day, I don't think you can say to a player can say that. Maybe like on the day, as it feels, it feels all right. I can give it a go. Well, I like to think that if you say, I can give it a go, the manager would turn around and go, Willie, I know you want to give it a go and all that, but I've got 100% fit Christian on the bench here, like, that's going to
lose a battle, win the war.
So, yeah. So I would like to think that would be the case. Then you get him scanned and all that, and they say it's 3 or 4 weeks. You go, all right, fair enough. So listen, I think that when these players are coming back, they're being, like, in for us and the normal working person and whatever, you have one scan and that'd be it, like, and you don't have a scan every couple of weeks. So these guys do, like, do you know what I mean? So Saka, before he goes out to train for the first time, would have had another scan to see if it's all right. So they're well looked after. I do think there is that thing of a player, yeah, he wants to play and all that, but I think that's where the manager's got to be a little bit stronger, or medical staff. I'm not saying this is on the manager. The physio or the doctor turn around and go, I've just had a look at his ankle. He could get through it, but we could be out for 3 or 4 games after this. Like, you know what I mean? Right, no go.
Don't risk it.
Like, no risk. So to risk someone like that and play him after and break down after me, it's a little bit of desperation in that. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I like to say, like, what I mean? No, he's not fit or whatever. Because you've got 38 games, or how many games left in the season, cups and all that.
Plus 50 odd if you include in the cups. There's a lot of football to be played.
Lots of football to be played. Unnecessary risks shouldn't be taken. So for someone like Saka, like if I see Saka on the team sheet on against Nottingham Forest, part of me would be pleased with that. Of course it will be, but part of me is thinking, oh, maybe it should be another week or so, like, you know what I mean? But as I say, I think, someone just put in the chat there, there's no excuses for injuries no more. There isn't. So we've got a big enough squad not to worry about it, and let players heal naturally as well. Physiotherapy doesn't, all that does is speed up the injury. It doesn't, you know what I mean? The injury's there, you know what I mean? Like, it just speeds it up, you know what I mean? Like, without any treatment, you could be out for 2 months. Physio gets you through in a month, you know what I mean? That's how it works. So, I'd be, if Saliba is out for 3 or 4 weeks, that's a shame on the medical staff for allowing that to happen, like, you know what I mean? So,
pull the plug, don't let him go out there.
Yeah, pull the plug and be a little bit more strong about it, like,
So how do you feel? Because we're talking about injuries, yeah. Obviously, in Saka's case, Madueke's come in. In Saliba's case, Mascara's come in. This is kind of why we wanted a squad. How do you feel about them two players? Because I don't want to say impressed, because I don't think we did too much in an attacking sense against Liverpool. But to be fair, in terms of what Madueke can control, I think he was good. I think he was a potent threat. I think, maybe with having a fit Saka and obviously having Eze, that kind of alleviates some pressure on Madueke, because he came into with petitions and that. I mean, it's a baptism of fire coming on at Anfield, and I think Mascara didn't put a foot wrong. So, how do you feel about those two individuals and them stepping up?
Well, let's take Mascara in the first place, right? No one after the game said we miss Saliba. That tells you everything you need to know.
Says it all.
Outstanding. Whether he can, and I think he can do it for 1 or 2 games, over 6, 7, 8, 9 games, that's completely different. But I think he can come in for 1 or 2 and do a job. Madueke, I think, right, people went overboard about his performance against Liverpool. I thought he done okay. Wasn't sensational. Wasn't like
exactly
a match winner, but done okay. This, you know what I mean? So I don't think it's something that we should be saying too much. You know, I think he deserves a chance against Forest. I'd rather play 100% fit him than a 60% Saka and worrying about him. I'd rather you know, his job now is to make sure that when Saka comes back, he's 100% fit, not 60% fit.
2 hamstring injuries in 6 months is crazy.
Yeah, and a big worry. Listen, I've got no doubts whatsoever that him and Havertz were rushed back last season. Rushed back.
100%.
You know, from surgery and all that. Like, don't get me wrong, not to the stage where they're not fit, but like, you know what I mean? You know, if we had no semi-final, we had nothing to play for, would there have been?
I don't think we see them.
I don't think we see them. No, I don't. So I think that that's the thing now. These people that come in have got a job to do where you go, right, I haven't got to rush back Saliba. I haven't got to rush back Saka. I haven't got to rush back Havertz. I haven't got to rush back Ben White. You know what I mean? Ben White was probably one of the best right backs in the league until he got injured. Then Timber
ran him into the ground last few years, man.
Yeah, but he's been running into the ground. But no one goes on about Ben White now because why? Because Timber come in and done an outstanding job. That's what you know, and probably now is the number one right back at the club. Like if I'll be honest, you know. So listen, that's what you've got to do, and you know, whoever comes in has got to do that sort of standard of thing now. You know, I think Madueke deserves another chance to play on the weekend. If he's not too tired out with England, I don't really like to see our boys playing for England, if I'll be honest. But
or any country, it's nerve-wracking, man.
It is nerve-wracking. I don't really like to see it. You know, I like to see him having a rest. It benefits us in one way and then not in another. Like, you know, so well, listen, if that's the case, Wanyeri can play out there. There's certain other people that can play out there instead of Saka. But yeah, I think that these guys now, the reason they're here, you know, £52 million spent, you know, is this is your time. This is what you've been. That's what that money's been spent on. So when Saka's not,
take your chances.
You take your chance and make sure you do it, and that's what he has to do. And not just in the other players as well. Hopefully, Norgard will be available this week as well. Like another one that's had a little.
He's gone on the radar with his injury problems as well. I was thinking, where is he? He could have come off the bench at Anfield and helped us in a degree.
Yeah, I think like another one with a little hamstring injury, nothing major. I think that he'll be back now, but another hamstring injury, another muscle injury that goes along with Ben White, Saka. I take out Kai Havertz because that's a knee injury, but maybe that's a recurrence of other injuries that he's had. I don't know
because of the load or something around training.
Yeah, and that can happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've had that little operation that Kai Havertz had. You know, listen, I was out for a couple of months of it, but I ain't got all the treatment and everything that they had. But you know, do the rehab, do everything properly, and I think that he'll be okay. You know, but yeah, this is what you got your squad for. You know, to come in and get us to where we want to be, and that is challenging for every game. I don't want us to be going to Nottingham Forest. I certainly weren't at Liverpool, and I've got to give the manager and the club credit for that. We was without Saka, and we was out Havertz, we was out Ben White, and then we lose Saliba. I still wasn't going, oh, that's it, we're done and all that, like, you know. And these players are still not available for Forest. It doesn't.
I still think we could have won at Anfield, to be fair.
And I'm not looking at it, you know, like when we, with Jesus, when he was out a couple of years ago, like they were doing documentaries about his rehab, and you know, we was all having updates, and you know, let them rehab and do it all properly and rush them back. You know, again, I felt that Jesus was rushed back in that season because we didn't have nothing up front and all that, like, you know, and look what's happened to him. So hopefully lessons have been learned from that.
I got to ask you about Martinelli as well, man. Like, where are we at with Martinelli? What's gone wrong? Like, are we still doing the whole it's Arteta, it's the tactics, or is it purely down to Martinelli? Like, I can't wrap my head around it, Lee.
No. Listen, I think that he does a good defensive job. I'm where I sit at the Emirates. He must hate it being on that left-hand side because every time he goes forward, the manager's pulling him back and all that. Like, I don't think he's, you know, allowed to breathe at times. There was a game against Liverpool. I watched the game, see it for my own eyes. He got the ball, he drove into some space, looked up, and then he drove. He went back to where he was. You know what I mean? He wasn't brave enough to take on the player. Maybe the manager's saying, don't lose the ball. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, but listen, if you're a front player, the best thing you can have from your manager is go out there, express yourself. Don't worry about it. If you lose the ball, don't worry about it. We'll win it back. Don't worry about it. You know, and I think that he's scared to lose the ball. If he takes on a man, he loses it, he's going to get a roll again or whatever. I don't know. These are the things that I'm thinking. Whenever I played, you know, I was fortunate enough to be an attacking midfielder when I was younger and all that. Like, I just attack. You know what I mean? Get back when you can. Get back into shape. But at the end of the day, your main concern was going forward. When I played older, I was sort of the holding midfield player. You've got a responsibility to defend. You know what I mean? But like, there's only so many players you want to have the responsibility to defend. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you've got wide players, let them.
And of course, havoc in the other opposition's box.
Yeah, just like you. And listen, I think if you're a forward or a wide player, as a midfield player, you expect them to lose the ball every now and then and not beat the man. You're up against good fullbacks. You know, you're going to not win it every single time. So I think with Arteta, he plays a percentage game on that. Certainly not with Saka. Saka loses the ball and there's not so much on it. But I think that, you know, Martinelli's got to say to himself, I've got to be a little bit more braver and make more decisions. But listen, I see him 2 years ago tearing up the Premier League. I don't see that now, like, you know. So I think that's something he's got to look at in his own game. And but I also think that, you know, I if you've been really honest with me, I think Wanyeri is just being a little bit when he first came into the side, he's doing all the things. He's a little bit more safer in his play now. You know, Dauman not. But I do think that maybe there's that coaching element of like, we're going to play like this, play like that, this possession-based football. Forget about that. We've got good enough defenders, good enough players that when we do lose the ball, we can win it back. And I think that that's something that Mikel's got to look at. Like, but there's been, you can only defend Martinelli for so long.
And I think I'm done with the defending, if I'm honest with you. I think there's a tax, but I don't think I think there's a defensive tax that Arteta applies. I don't think it applies to Martinelli in Arteta's case. Like, I don't see your decision making improving. Now, I get it. Confidence might be shot. You made a good point of he might be risk averse because you lose the ball. But I always think you get into scary territory when the best thing I can say about Martinelli is he helps his fullback out. He should be doing that anyways. And as much as I love Martinelli and I hope that, you know, 3-4 games things can change, it does feel like for him, the writing's on the wall. Maybe you need to go to a team that's a bit less heavy coached and, you know, more reliant on instinct. Because like that season you're referring to, even to the point, Lee, where I look back and I always think, has Martinelli ever been the player that I thought he was? Like, has he really fallen off a cliff, or has he always been like this? But that season, we're just playing to his strengths. I don't know. I know people say he could play up front, but you're not going to get that here, are you? With Gyökeres, with Trossard, even if Jesus is fit, you know, and the rest of it. So it's like, it does feel like the writing's on the wall, man. I think if there was a decent offer, he's not in next season.
It does, but it also could be that could be a thing for him where he goes in, bees the backup to Gyökeres. It may be that could be a good thing for him coming on the last 20, 25 minutes, making those sort of runs and things like that. I don't know. I think it's a crossroads with him at this moment in time now. I do think that somewhere along the line you have to take responsibility in your own appearances as well. But I would just turn around and said, like, you know, has he fallen off a cliff? Yes, you could say that. So does Odegaard, but he still plays week in, week out.
True.
And people say, when you've just turned around and said it, like, well, he does cover his left back well. I hear that, like, well, Martin Odegaard shuts down well. You know, somewhere along the line, he's not in the team to shut down. And Martinelli's not in there to back up his left back. He's there to create and score goals. So Martin Odegaard has got to be in that position as well. So, listen, Arsenal have always had someone. I don't know why all this hate has come on Martinelli so much. You want my honest opinion? I think that they'd rather have a go at Martinelli than the manager. So they'll pick on Martinelli.
I don't think you're wrong.
Instead of the coach. I like to think there's a bit of both. I think that the manager has not released him the way he should do. So I think it's a little bit on Arteta to get the best out of these players as well on an attacking.
I mean, if you're starting week in, week out, it is on you.
Yeah, and when you've got a good enough back four and defensive unit, you know what I mean, like your attacking players should be allowed to benefit from that and bounce off of it, knowing that you've got a very, very good defence. So I think there's a little bit of both. I don't think it's all on Martinelli. I think it's on the manager as well. And I agree that, you know, that Martinelli is not. I think that, and I get this. There are times when Martinelli's one-on-one with a defender, and that ain't about tactics. Then it's not about where you are and whatever, and he doesn't deliver. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that he's got to get into his game.
That's where I get at Martinelli.
Yeah, and that's where I understand people are saying that he's inconsistent or he's not doing this and doing that, and you want to criticise him. Fair enough. I get from that point of view there, like, you know, but I do think there is restrictions into his game. But you know, sometimes he lets himself down as well with his no end product. We criticise a lot of players for that. He's got to have an end product, and he hasn't got that at the moment, so he needs to do that.
And that's the annoying thing. Like, I mean, anyone that plays for Arsenal, we're going to back him. But unfortunately, we can't carry people. For me, I do think there's a role for Martinelli. Obviously, you're playing now because no one else is fit. But I think you're a rotationary option. You're a squad player. Like, if we was 1-0 up, you know, and Liverpool threw the kitchen sink at us, you bring on Martinelli, pin their fullback back, or you bring him on against tired legs. I think him and Trossard should kind of be that. I'm a bit surprised neither left in the summer, but that's neither here nor there. Unks, I've got two more things to ask you before I let you get on with your day. The first is...
No problems.
I don't know if this is true, but a lot of people have been asking me to ask everyone that I've had on this channel. Apparently, Josh Kroenke has allegedly had a meeting with Mikel Arteta discussing what he expects this season. He's given Arteta everything he has asked for and expects to have a successful season. Trophies must be won. Do you agree with that? Do you think that really happened?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. We're Arsenal Football Club. We should be like having those conversations. Why shouldn't we be? Yeah. If I'm you know, I think as a fan you can ask that as well. Like, you know, I mean, he should be put under pressure with winning trophies. Do you know why? Because he's Arsenal manager,
and we've got to that realm now.
And we're in that. You know, we're in that thing. You know, when people go, "Oh, he's dragged us from where we are," we should never ever have been in that position in the first place. But we were. So, like, he's done well to do that. But at the end of the day, now, you know, I want to see us look. They've won a trophy down the road and taken a mickey out of us, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're far superior than there ever be. So but you've got to force it home. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you've got the hammer now. You've got to bang the nail in, haven't you? Like, you know what I mean? You can't go missing it. You know what I mean? So you've got you know, you're not doing it with a banana now or a cucumber. You got the hammer. You got the proper tool to do it. So do it. So why not? He spent a lot of money. Like, listen, people can criticise the Kroenkes all they want. You know what I mean? Like, not me after this summer. He's given them everything they want.
They've done it. They've done it. Like, I might can cry about maybe I wanted a left winger, Rodrigo or whatever, but that's probably rich pickings. Like, this, you know, the club is guilty of lip service. When you're telling us unprecedented this and goosebumps, and there was a point in the summer we're thinking, rah, Berta's come in, nothing's changed. But it's not how it starts, it's how it ends. Fair enough. The gaffer wanted Madueke, you've got that. Mascara, I like that. Hincapie ain't kicked the ball for us, I like that. Fair enough. Norgard isn't Partey, but experience, you can kind of maneuver with him. We've chased Zubamendi for years. You got that one through the door. Whether Gyökeres is is the guy or not that is a proven goal scorer, providing with chance to put the ball in the back of the net. EZE is EZE in a positive way. We all wanted that. So we can't complain. It's just down for Mikel Arteta. You've got the ingredients. Cook the meal now. Just get it over the line, because I think the players deserve it. I actually think Arteta is a good manager, but I want you to go from being a good manager to a winning manager, because I've got no leg to stand on with that. And kind of referring to what we said earlier, I think until you win a Prem, win a champ, start picking up some domestic cups and crossing over into that, I personally think everything should be up for debate, whether that's persisting with you, whether that's keeping with you. Kind of what you said earlier, you know, if you're fighting for a title and I don't know, we've got 99 points and Liverpool win it with 100, cool, some context behind that we can allow you. But what we can't have is like last season where we're just stumbling across. And let's have it right. Last season, we was in that weird scenario and that we're nowhere near catching Liverpool. We're not going to get dragged into a top 4 race. So we're just kind of existing, if I'm honest. And I think it's down to the manager. We just need to reinvent yourself. I just need you, especially in the final third, because I think the best thing is our problems can be fixed internally. It's not a recruitment issue anymore. So it wouldn't surprise me. Me personally, Lee, though, I do think if we don't win silverware, I don't think they're going to sack him, just because that's not how we operate. But who knows, man? Because we need to get over the line.
Listen, go on. I agree with everything you say, but let's go back to when Arsenal won the FA Cup under Arsene Wenger.
True.
We wasn't happy just with that lot, because we'd 5th and 6th and weren't challenging for the title. So it's got to be
praise for everything you do. I must admit.
It's no good like saying, "Oh, you're going to win the FA Cup and you've not challenged for the title and you've gone out early in the Champions League and all that." It's all context of all the stuff, you know, and what trophy you win and what you don't win. Like, but if he was to challenge for the title, win the FA Cup, it gives him a little bit like. But I listen. I think he's got to get himself. That team and that squad should be winning some sort of trophy this season. Like, you know what I mean? Not guarantee. I'm saying it's got to be in with a shout. I not going out early in the FA Cup, for instance, like, you know,
exactly
to a poor Man United team. Not there's certain context of it all, like. But listen, he's got to win something. You cannot get out. You cannot continue to keep going down their line, and that's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? I've accepted it for the last couple of years. I understand. You know, we've not had big enough squad, and we've had to go for the league. You know, pick and choose what we've had to do. You know what I mean? And it's been fantastic that we've challenged for the title for the last couple of seasons. Like, you know, but now you've got the squad to win. You've got the squad to win. Go and win. And the Cronkies have given. Listen, people can go on about what striker you want. This. I know that there's people out there that wanted Sesko. They wanted EZE or whatever. Like, you know, EZE. They might have asked about him, but he turned around and said he wanted Liverpool. So we've got the next best thing in Gyökeres. Loads of people wanted EZE. We've got EZE. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've got Zubimendi. Like, you know. We made some bloody good signings this season. We brought up some good squad players as well, like, you know, which is what you need.
Couple of academy boys now are in the mix with Lewis Skelly, Ranieri, and Dalman.
Saved us millions, and you know, if everything goes well with Max Dalman, like, you know, as far as injuries and whatever is concerned, he is going to save this club millions and millions of pounds. So it's all there for us. It's all there for us to go on and be, not just this season, for a few seasons. And the manager, you know, has been provided to the tools by that man who you've got in your picture there. And I think, you know, listen, if he walked past me in the road today, I'd shake his hand. I might not have done a couple of years ago, but I will now, because he's done what he said he was going to do. They backed the club. They said at the beginning of the summer or last season there would be sufficient. I've got it in a program. I've still got it here now. Like, you know, investment in the team. Well, he put it in black and white, and he's fulfilled it.
Put his money where his mouth is, man.
Yeah.
And I can't say that that's always been the case. I'm just a man of saying, you know what, fair enough. You've done your job. For once, you've done talking and it's made sense. I feel like we've got the squad. Do I think we're the best in Europe and the best in England? No, but we've been sniffing at it. And kind of what you just said there about not just this year, but years. I look at that differently in that I want that. But I don't want to look at these 3 years prior to the season we're obviously in and think, well, could we have won a Prem or 3 on the spin or 2 or a League Cup and an FA Cup and the league? I don't think we've seized the present moment. And it's one thing fighting City, granted, you know, when it's all said and done with, going against a juggernaut with Pep Guardiola. And not to say Liverpool weren't that, but Liverpool have won the league on the clock, sacked their manager, and they've not rested on their laurels. So now you've got new kids on the block. And We've not got that. And then, unfortunately, if you don't win trophies, then you are looking at the Williams, Salibas and Sakas, etc., and saying, you know what, are they sitting there and thinking, do you know what, maybe we've gone as far as we can at this team. Maybe it's not meant to be. You know, for Saliba, where you've got Real Madrid players in your ear probably every week, you've got something to discuss. And I can't, even if we win all the trophies, like Trent won everything at Liverpool, still went Real Madrid. I don't mind if Saliba wants to do that. It's just, let's just make some history here, man. And we've got it all to do. The best thing is it's only 3 games in. So with that being said, Lee, my last question for you then, just a bit of fun. I saw this on Twitter and I've been asking everyone. If you could give Arteta one piece of advice, what would it be?
One piece of advice, go back to what you was 2 seasons ago.
Fair.
Go and attack. Be brave. Go and attack teams. Don't. I don't know what I would say was a great quote that was said to me, like, don't be afraid to lose. Otherwise, you don't deserve to win.
Oh, I like that. That was hard.
Yeah, I loved it. I got sent that the other day, and I'd put that up in his office. I would like. You know
I need him to be bold, man. I need him to be bold. I know he's not in the same category, but I remember when Klopp signed for Liverpool, I think like 2015, and he said, "Oh, in the next 3-4 years, we'll win a title." I think he was just off, but he was bold and he got there. We all remember the Jose, the special one. We all remember when Wenger was mocked for saying invincible. That's the Mikel Arteta I need now. I know he says he wants to win trophies, but I just need you to be bold in all aspects now. So let's just hope we get over the line, man. Like, it'd be a shame not to win the Prem. The dream for me is the champs. I think as a minimum, we need days out at Wembley. So that's the league and FA Cup. If nothing more, for the fans, and not even more crucially than the fans, because we make the club, the players, because it can't be nice. You know, you're fighting to the last day of the season. You've lost the season where Kivio has to come in, or Rob Holding. You've lost last year where we finished second, but we stumbled on that. You've lost this year. I hope it goes right, but it starts to get a bit mucky, and then you have to ask questions like, do they need a new voice? And Mikel Arteta, I hope you do it, but you could leave with your head held high. End of the day, from you've walked into this football club to if you left right now, you've done well. But you might be the man to get us to the promised land. You might have been the man to steady the ship in the same way Wenger paid off the stadium. You're kind of enjoying the fruits of his labor with the money. Maybe the next manager comes in and says, you know what, the squad's here, couple of changes, and we're gone. But that's my thing. Until we get to the promised land, everything has to be up for debate, because that's where we want to go. But let's just hope in May there's some silverware, Lee, man. Where can people find you?
That's what it's all about. We want to see this club winning, and
I want to do that.
Winning big as well, like that would be great. That's all we want.
We need that, man. And I think Arteta's got the capacity to do it. I believe in the players, but you have to show it now, because I've not got a leg to stand on. If I'm saying all these things and people saying, where's the silverware? Yeah, I'm just looking like an idiot. I must really be deluded, in it. So let's just hope in May we got something, Lee, man.
Let's hope so. I think we'll be happy at the end of the year.
I don't think we'll win a trophy, but whether it be the one that we all would like or the ones we would like, Bob's your uncle, innit, man? Like, it's be interesting to see. And it's only been 3 games into the Premier League season. There's only 30 odd more to go plus the cup. So, there's going to be many highs and many lows and everything in between. Where can people find you though, Lee, man?
Lee Mark Judges on Twitter and obviously Instagram, Lee Judges TV, if you want to see me there. Always doing little bits there, like, you know, and obviously on AFTV if you ever want to go over there as well. Like, so loads of things that I'm doing, like, you know.
I mean, all you have to do, people, is check the title of the video. Lee's channel's in there. The man's everywhere. He does great content. I particularly like when it's him and Dan, like, bouncing, you know, Arsenal things. So, yeah, have a butchers, man. Lee, I've taken up far too many of your time, as usual, Unks, man. It's always a pleasure, man. Enjoy your
always
day.
A pleasure for you, my man. Like, yeah, take care.
Come on, my guy. Up the Gunners, man. Let's go, man. Hopefully we win something. So, yeah, people, we're out. Comment, like, subscribe, follow Lee's platform, and enjoy your afternoon, folks. Lee, God bless you. Take care, my boy.
Take care, my man.
In a bit. Always